He is the Tinfoil Chef, a man with a video love.
Hey YouTube, how's it going? Well, you know, it's occurred to me, and a couple of people have mentioned this to me, that I've been talking a bunch about poker recently, and it occurs that it's a good idea if I were to briefly cover the basics, and I'm talking about the bare bones, how the game works basics of the particular variety of poker that I play, which is Texas Holdem. And so I'm going to do that using some screenshots captured from PokerStars as a visual aid, so to speak. Alright, now you start out basically typically a 9-player table. Sometimes it may be a 6-player. There are 6-player tables, and of course if you're in a tournament you can eventually get down to where there's only 2 players on a table where they're playing heads up. But that's different. Typically you'll have a 9-player table, usually 9 players, but it can fluctuate some depending on how many people are wanting to play poker at the time. The basic layout of the table is you have a chip marker over here on the right. It's that white chip with a red club or spade or something that looks like on there. That is known as the dealer button. In a home game, you might have a case where that would go around. As that goes around, that person had that would actually be the dealer for that hand. In casino games, online games and whatnot, there is a separate dealer for the table, and the players don't actually do the dealing. To the left of the dealer button is the small blind, and to the left of that is the big blind. The blinds constitute forced bets that you are required to place when you are in that position. Now these 3 markers, these 3 things rotate to the left 1 space every hand. So sooner or later everybody ends up on the big blind and the small blind and on the button, which is the dealer button. Okay, so once the blinds have been posted, the hand will be dealt, and every player gets 2 cards face down to start with. After the cards are down, then comes the first betting phase, where, well, in this case, you've got the guy on the big blind, 10. The guy to the left of him called that 10. And the guy to the left of him called it. The guy to the left of him called that. And then this guy over here in the upper left, he decided to raise to 50. The guy beyond him raised it again, or re-raised to 90. This person called the 90. This other person called the 90. And then you get the betting continues, where the guy on the small blind folded, and the guy on the big blind folded. Everybody else folded all the way around to the guy that raised it up to 50. He calls the 90. And at that point, we get the first 3 of 5 community cards, called the flop. Now, the objective here is to make the best 5-card poker hand that you can, using a combination of any combination of your cards, your whole cards, and the 5 community cards. The flop is your first shot at looking at what kind of a hand you're going to be able to actually build. Your initial betting is based on the 2 cards and your 2 whole cards, and then when the flop comes, you get a better idea of what you might be able to build up. And then of course there is another round of betting, and in this particular case you have a guy that he decided to bet his last 240 chips. He's all in, and that's the thing about No Limit Hold'em. no limit means there is no limit to the size of the bet you can make at any time, in any situation, regardless of what cards you have or whatever. You can go all in with an almost nothing, and it's possible to win, and it's possible to go completely broke and be out of the game. And let's see, the next guy called the 240. The guy after him decided that that was too much to bet on what he had for cards based on what those made with the flop, and so he folded. The next guy called. And then the next card comes, the fourth one, which is called the turn. And then there is another round of betting. And then once the betting rounds are completed, and in this case you've got two guys that have gone all in, and this third person has called their all-in bets, and so at that point the hole cards are turned face up, and then you get to see an idea of what they're making here. You've got one guy that has queen king, another one has queen ace, and this one has 3-2. And it doesn't sound like he's making much, but the guy with queen, well, let's go to the next picture here, where the final card, the river card, comes up. It's the 8 of clubs. And you can see there, the guy that had queen king, who went all in first, he hit the king on the flop, but he didn't hit anything else. So he's got a pair of kings with a queen kicker. The queen ace guy, he hit the ace on the flop, so he's got a pair of aces. This other guy has 3-2, and you wonder why somebody with 3-2 is going all in, but you see here there's a 3 on the flop and there's a 2 on the turn, so he ended up with 2 pair, and he takes the hand home. And that is the basic bare bones Texas Hold'em. I'm not even going to consider going into talking about strategy of how to play. There is a lot written on strategy. There's a lot of people that talk about strategy. I'm not even close to a Texas Hold'em strategy expert at all, so I'm not even going to talk about it. But that's the game, and there's a lot of possibility with it. People have gone broke. People have become millionaires. And I think tomorrow I'm going to start talking about some poker legends. Thanks for watching. Take it easy. I'm out of here.
Here's the TinFoilChef.